Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna let a few people come on here. I hope you guys are having a great day. And I want to be excited and just say, it's Healing Tuesday. I know I wasn't with you last week. It was a really tough week, and I'll wait for more people to get on here. I will wait for my tribe to get on here to have a discussion, just a quick discussion. Tonight, we're going to talk about something. I wasn't even really sure about the topic as far as like the series and what it's called, but I was sure that I wanted to talk about a particular book, and I wanted to talk about relationships, because many of us are in relationships or had relationships or struggling through relationships, whatever that is. Hey, Jasmine, how are you? Hey, Nydia, I see you, girl. And we're struggling through some of this because of our upbringing. And the conversation we're going to have tonight is very specific, and I will continue that conversation as I always do through series and different series that we're discussing. I want to make sure y'all don't think I ain't got enough. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So in the midst of us continuing Healing Tuesday, relationships were heavy on my heart. And in the midst of relationships being heavy on my heart, I kept kind of playing around with the idea of talking about a particular book. It's a book that our marriage coaches wrote back in the day. And I did post the book online, right? I posted it online. I know some people are laughing at the book, but the book gives some pretty decent insights into how to live with a mama's boy. And it's not a derogatory term. We're going to get into that. But the author actually initially wrote How to Raise a Man and Not a Mama's Boy. He initially wrote this book. And in writing this book, he is a fatherless son himself. So it's not an attack on men. The book was actually written by a man. So let's reel all of that back. And as I'm sharing that, I know I want men to come on to this conversation. David Alexander even said, my absent father was a complete mama's boy. She even paid his child support. See, we're going to get into what this means. And once again, not all of it is slanted. This is not slanted from a female perspective. This is literally slanted from a male's perspective. And because a man wrote the book. And then the book, Living with a Mama's Boy, him and his wife wrote it together. My goal is to get them on with us to talk with us about it. However, Tuesday nights happens to be coaching night. So I don't know if we'll have to pre-record it and I'll have to use clips and we'll engage it that way. But just knowing that that's where we're going in this conversation. We are also, I need you guys to give me a title for this, right? Because we have previously in our conversations talked about effeminate men, which is really where we're going with this, and masculine women. Most of us are raised in single parent homes. What do we call that series, right? Because the term mama's boy is coined, it's there. But what do we call masculine women? I want you guys to give me some titles for that. So that's what I want to do, because all of this is playing into our relationships. We delved into this conversation of effeminate and masculine and all of this during our topic of fatherlessness and gender identity and gender confusion. But I want to dig into it now on a deeper level. So those who have been watching me and tuning in, like Nydia is my tribe. Nydia is a part of the tribe. Chris is a part of the tribe, right? Becca, who's going to jump on here, is a part of the tribe. My husband's a part of the tribe. You guys are my tribe. And so you know that as we keep going, we dig up layer and peel off layer after layer after layer in these conversations. But for those men who are like, nah, I'm not tuning into that, that's male bashing. The book is actually written by a man. So it's not going to be a night of male bashing, just for you to breathe. Okay. So as you're breathing, I want to invite you into this space, invite you into our space. Healing Tuesdays is a very sacred and very safe space for male and female who grew up fatherless, who grew up father deprived, who grew up without having their father's fully engaged in their lives where they desire. So as I'm about to get into this, let me point out some housekeeping rules. Number one, this is a safe place. This is going to be safe. No one's taking your conversation elsewhere. Number two, I want you to share. Hey, Sarah. Sarah said, I'm here. I woke up just in time. I want you to share this with your friends who you know may need this, or those who you think might need this, because Healing Tuesdays is intentional about building a movement, as Nydia and Becca have called this. Our goal is to help each other heal. I am an expert, but I am not the only expert in the room. That's number three. As I am the person who runs the Fatherless Generation Foundation, I recognize that we are all in different stages of our healing. And so I need you fully engaged. I want you to contribute to the conversation, because where you are in your stage of healing may help somebody who's watching, may help somebody who's also in the chat with you. So those are the rules about Healing Tuesday. You can spectate if you'd like, but we love engagement, not for Facebook. No, engagement can help somebody else heal. So I know you might have that thing that's brewing and you're like, I don't know if I want to put that on here. I don't know if I want to say this. Put it on there. It may help somebody. Kenneth Rosa, I see you. Y'all cracking me up with these conversations, but we're going to have that conversation, Kenneth, tomorrow. Not that I don't want you on here. But I want you, yeah, there's some other stuff brewing. Y'all, I've been on Facebook Lives and all that in the last 24 hours. But as we dig into this book, the new cover, they changed the cover. I've had this book because my book is actually, can you see it? My book is autographed, right? So I have the first cover, but I posted their book. Buy this book. It's an easy read, you guys. Buy this book because and this is not a promotion for my friends. I need you to understand what you're dealing with. And I need the men on here to kind of check yourself on, are you a mama's boy? Because that's the best part about this book. To have a husband and wife tag team this situation, you're getting both perspectives. And it is a blessing to have both perspectives. I'm hoping to have them on. We may do what we call, like a special edition on a different day where I'll just post it. I'll do the interview and I'll just post it. I want to make sure I can see everything because sometimes I can't see everybody. I like StreamYard because I can see everybody. Be Live was tripping on me. He said, let's do it. You're bringing that lit awareness. Let me see what Sarah said. She said, my honey is a motherless son, and there are so many things I notice that has links to that. Come on, somebody. We've got to deal with this. So let's get into this. I got my notes. I got my book and I got my notes ready. Are you guys ready? I need you to get your notes out too, because I'm gonna tell you something. Nydia be outshining y'all. Nydia will take a picture of her with me on the screen and her tablet ready and her coffee, whatever she's drinking. Look, she might need something stronger than that half the time when we're talking about this stuff. But I need you guys to take notes and also buy the book, because in buying the book, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not going to delve into all this. We only have an hour. So buy this book. It's the easiest read I've had in quite some time. This is something you can literally read in a day at the beach. Did I tell on myself? It doesn't even take that long. It's like a few hours. This book is like 80-something, 90-something pages. Yeah, this is an easy read. And it's an affordable book. So let's delve into what a mama's boy is. Some of you will say a mama's boy is someone who, well, I want to know, no, let me go here. What do you guys think a mama's boy is? I want to know what you think. What do you think a mama's boy is? I want you guys to type. I just want to see one or two. We don't have the beach for our backyard. That's true. This is called a blessing. It's called the favor. Okay. So what do you guys think a mama's boy is? And Chris, I see you performing at the beach. So kind of not, but yeah, you got the beach. You have the beach accessible to you. What is a mama's boy to you guys? Come on, somebody, one person. I want to see it. I just need to see one. What is a mama's boy? And for those of you who are watching this in replay, put replay in the box for me right now. A mama's boy is someone without the guidance of a father. Ooh, that's okay. David said over attached to his mother. Okay. I think that hits on some stuff. I definitely do. I'm gonna reel you back, and I'm gonna give a couple of definitions that I found. One from the book, and then some from other places. It says a mama's boy is a man who thinks, acts, and sometimes behaves emotionally like a woman. Like a woman. Some say a mama's boy is extremely attached to his mother when he is expected to be independent. That goes into what David said. Hold on, Chris, I'm sorry, I meant to put these up. Chris says a boy who gets his emotional needs met not through his dad. Oh, his mama's meeting his emotional needs. Okay. The lack of fundamental manhood training was another one. And I was like, oh, that's deep. So I want to say, I think they're all correct. Oh, come on. Look, Nydia said, I don't know what IMO. Huh? Oh, a mama's boy is a man that turns and goes to their mother for everything, places his mother's opinions and thoughts above everyone else's, including his own. Y'all hitting some stuff tonight. Come on. Sarah said, his mom fights his battles for him. He doesn't know how to stand up to her. I'm going to tell y'all all right. All of you are right. Because I believe it's part, like all of those are part of this conversation. I want to say also, my interpretation, yeah, that's true. It is definitely about according to who you ask. And that's why I'm asking. And that's why I love all of the statements that were made here. I want to also say, I'm going to add my contribution to it. My contribution to this definition is he is the female, the woman in the relationship. That's what I'm going to add. Oh, she said if IMO. See, I'm missing in my own opinion. I need your opinion, Nydia. He's the female. He's the woman in the relationship. So for those of you who did not tune in, and those of you who did, right, when we were talking about fatherlessness and gender confusion and gender identity issues, we brought up these two spirits, these two characters and traits of the effeminate male and the masculine female. I still need my title for that because, right, I'm calling this mama's boy, but I need to know, what do I call the one with the woman? What is she? She's not daddy's little girl. What is she? I need to know what that is because I'm struggling with that because that's our title for next week. So when I say that he is the female in the relationship and I go back to those conversations that we had, remember I said some of you are in a role reversal. And that also made some of you in what we said was a homosexual relationship. You have two females in the house. A mama's boy has traits that are feminine. I will not only say that he is dependent upon his mother. I will not only say his mother fights his battle. I'm including those things. But I also want to add the idea and the concept that he is also so feminine, he's super emotional. That's what I want to add, right? So when we're adding this, and while you guys are on here, I want to say, because I wanted to say it earlier and I forgot as I was getting into this. This conversation is not about that, but I'm pausing here because of it. You guys are my tribe. You are my people, and I need your prayers. Vark and I are having some major issues right now, and it is not good. I don't know if he's on, but it's not good. And I need your prayers because I'm not going to sit on here and be a fraud. I know what I'm talking about, but you can't always do that in your own home. I can't be Dr. Tori J here. I'm his wife. And so we're having some major issues. Took me out last week. That's why I wasn't on. And so I need you guys to pray for that. It is serious. Okay. So let me say that this is not about him. We do have those concerns and issues in our household of him being that, because we both grew up fatherless. You guys know that. And me being a woman who has masculine energy and all of those things, I don't think I'm over the top with it, but that's not the statement. That's not where we're going with it. I need my tribe to pray for me. So when I get into this, I want to talk about what it's not, right? What a mama's boy is not. What a mama's boy is not. A mother overly nurturing her son is not creating a mama's boy. So for those of you who do that whole cultural thing, sometimes boys need to be nurtured. And when they have a father figure or father there present, it will help combat that. But when you do have a situation where a father isn't present, sometimes that can't be combated. I see this. Let me see something. Let me put this out here really quickly. What happens when the man is emotional and the woman grew up fatherless or with a dysfunctional relationship with their father? Chris, remind me about that as we get towards the end, because that's kind of what we're on, but it's not. I want to flow into this, but I think we can attach that to this conversation, because having a mama's boy, and then a lot of women have been raised to be very masculine and take control and get it done. We have that. Those are clashes. Those are not creating great environments for relationships. Okay. So I want to say this again. Mama's boy is not making sure that we know nurturing a child does not make them a mama's boy. Let me say that. Just because you grew up in a single parent home does not mean you're going to be a mama's boy. That's number two. If your mother is controlling, this is like 2A. If your mother is controlling, being a mama's boy could be a byproduct of having her be controlling and not having that healthy male fatherly role model in your house. So that can create a mama's boy. A mama's boy, or someone being nurtured by their mother, or someone being raised in a single parent home, the number 3 myth, as they put it in the book, doesn't mean the child's going to be gay. So stop that. That's one of those things where I think we culturally get it wrong. And then just because he's a mama's boy as a little boy doesn't mean he's always going to be mama's little boy. It's not what that means at all. Not at all. Sarah said, you get the relationship I had with my ex-husband. I hope that's not talking about my situation now, but it could be. My single mother was never nurturing, is what David said. So David, she was the masculine force in your life because she thought maybe she needed to be super masculine in order to make you the man. Women do that. I've seen single moms do that. They literally take on the persona they believe the man should take on in order to raise a man, is what they're thinking. But I can tell you right now, women, I say it all the time, you can raise a boy into a man, but it doesn't mean that you're giving him the manhood training that he needs in order to be an effective leader in a household with a woman. It doesn't mean that. Nidia said, men need to be nurtured too and allowed to have feelings. Message. When we take those rights and privileges away from them, Nidia, I think that's how you get a mama's boy, because they have 4 different types of mama's boys that they list in this book. I want to go specifically to the book. We've been talking kind of around the book, and this is the part where we get into different perspectives. There's questions that were asked. From a woman's perspective, what is a man? Can you guys give me some stuff here? Because I'm going to read some of the questions or some of the answers that they received and put in the book. For you guys, for the ladies. Ladies, what is a man? What is a man? And gentlemen, what is a man? Tell me how you guys describe that before I start answering these things. I'm going to start with the perspective of the woman, and then I'm going to go into the perspective of a man that's written in this book. Once again, Living with a Mama's Boy, A Guide to Understanding and Dealing with a Mama's Boy in Your Life Without Losing Your Mind is the name of the book that we're talking about. And I did post the link. It's probably in between this now at this point, where you can purchase the book. And it's a quick read. It's a cheap book and a quick read that can help you in your circumstance. I want to know what a man is to you guys. From a female perspective, what's a man? From a male's perspective, what's a man? Oh, Sarah's talking about, we are still great friends, but I will admit I was out of control in the relationship because I was totally in charge and I had no one to check me. Thank God I've grown from it. My honey keeps me in check. That's a message. We have the tendency to do that. And then when we are strong women, our passive, we'll get into some of that in a moment, our men can become passive to the behavior. And it creates a horrible dynamic in your relationship. It creates a horrible dynamic. And I can say that from my own experience, I would really like to come home and be the woman, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. I don't want to be Dr. Tori J. I don't want to be making decisions all the time. I don't want to do that. But there are moments when you have passive situations, or where your spouse is passive, and as women, we will take it. We will dominate that moment. We will take it on. It's not to say that it's the right thing to do. It's just what we know how to do. Especially when you get married much older like me. You do those things, and it's not to emasculate our men, it's to ensure that our household doesn't fall apart. It is not an intentional attack on your manhood, guys. It just isn't. At least from my perspective, it isn't. And even Sarah talking, it doesn't sound like she did it on purpose. It was what she knew to do. It was learned behavior. And it's what it is for many women. And if we, as one of our coaches tell us all the time, don't always take it so personal. Don't take it personal. Sometimes it's simply learned behavior. You guys are not telling me what you believe a man is. Is it because you don't know? I don't believe that at all. I'm going to start with some of the things that they wrote here. They compiled a list, and someone said a man is a protector. He is selfless and puts the concerns of his loved ones above his own. He will give his life for his family. Okay, see, Nydia said, I'm not 100% sure. I know what a man is. That's why I put up with the confusion. Confused. Okay, I didn't see that on here, Nydia. I'm sorry. It didn't allow me to see it. I only have the views of society and my culture. Oh, yeah. Provide and keep his family safe, make money, and put food on the table. Come on. I appreciate you saying that I ain't 100% sure on that. Sarah said, a man is a leader in a household, spiritually and physically, but not aggressive, calm, understanding. Get it? See, this is where we are. In our 30s and 40s, we have to admit as adults, we don't even know what manhood, what husbandhood, and what fatherhood looks like on both sides of this conversation. Men, you want to puff out your chest and say, I'm a man and I'm a husband and I'm a father, but you honestly don't even know what it looks like. And because you didn't have the example, I put it in a meme and I'm going to say it on here. You're insecure about your manhood. You're insecure about your husbandhood. You're insecure about your fatherhood. And then when you have a strong woman who does her best to support you in that, because she doesn't even totally know what it looks like. I've had examples that I can relate to and I can go back to, but my example, he had a lot of money. So I don't know what a man feels like when he doesn't have money, because I know that's a contributing factor to how he feels about his manhood and his ability to provide. But the fact that we don't know and we're yet getting in relationships is trouble. It's an issue. I always relate things and correlate things for those who know and who've been on here. I'm always going to go biblical on you. And so I could always go back to God the Father and how I believed he defined manhood. And I talked about that in our How to Love series and what that looks like, how a man loves. And I even did a podcast on it recently. We'll talk about that at the end. But I need you guys to understand that even in silence, you shared that, you know what, I really don't know. And I admire you for saying that. I admire you, Nydia, for even saying, you know what, I'm not 100% sure. That is like, I can't even leave off that spot because it's powerful. It's powerful to admit and acknowledge our weaknesses. That's vulnerability. And I consider that courage to admit, I don't know. I know what it says, what I see on TV. I know what I was told it was. But now that I've been out here in this dating world, it don't seem to look like that. And it's not because men aren't acting like men. I'm not here to say that. I believe there are a lot of men out here. And I know there's conversations that I've seen, male versus man and what that looks like. But I can tell you that I believe there are a lot of men who exist. How much of that manhood do they exude? It depends on the man. How much of a protector are they? How much of a provider are they? How much of an influence in their family are they? How much of a spiritual leader are they? I think you can put a lot of men in the category that they know what that looks like. They emulate it to the best of their ability. And I would rather have your 100% of what you think it looks like than 0% because you're afraid of pushing through of what or what you're afraid it's going to be like, right? I would rather 100% of what you think it looks like. And that's just my truth. Come on, Nydia. She said, I don't know what a man is without the sex. Message. We do not know. We always correlate certain things to what manhood is. And that is a message. This other person said the first lady said he's a provider. He's selfless. He puts his concerns or the concerns of his loved ones above his own. He will give his life for his family. Y'all know that's called male disposability. We expect men to die by the sword. We expect men to go to war on our behalf and die, and they're heroes all of a sudden. That's male disposability, what this person is talking about. And it's toxic, to be honest with you, to make someone be that selfless that they will die for their family and their only concern, he puts the concerns of his loved ones above his own. Is that how? Let's dig into that before I move on. Is that beneficial to your manhood, men? That you are selfless? You put everyone else's concerns above your own, and you'll give your life for your family. Is that beneficial for your household? I want to know. Put a 1 in the box if you believe it is. Put a 2 in the box if you think it's totally toxic. I'm going to go on to the next one. A man is a provider. He will do whatever he needs to do in order to ensure his loved ones are cared for. These are tough. And this is from the female perspective. A man is a fixer. When problems arise, he will figure out how to fix it. Okay. Elijah said, I was taught that's what's right. Elijah, do you feel comfortable in putting everyone else's concerns above your own? Do you feel comfortable ignoring all of your feelings for somebody else's feelings? Do you feel comfortable being selfless in every single way? Isaac said, I'd give all my life for my daughter. I get it. But it didn't just say your daughter, Isaac. It said everybody. He puts concerns of his loved ones above his own, not just his daughter, Isaac. See, Elijah said, absolutely not. We're asking men to give all of themselves for us to consider them a man. A man takes responsibility for his actions. When he screws up, he admits it, changes, and moves on. Now I'm going to say amen on that one. I'm going to say amen to that one. A man loves intentionally. And when he commits, he is committed. He will love the ground you walk on. That feels, for me, that is partially, sure, he's intentional. When he's committed, he's committed. But he will love the ground you walk on. I thought that I had to break this book out because this was like, these are the ideas that women have about manhood. A man needs affirmation. And let me go back to He loves the ground you walk on. Is that worship? Ladies, this is why our relationships are struggling. This is why. This is why we can look at a man and call him, you ain't, you doing all of that. Elijah said, what book is that? Yeah. Go to the link that I put on the page already, but it's called Living with a Mama's Boy, right? Yeah. Oh, the book is good and it's short. I said it when I started. You want him to worship you? Borderline idolatry. Exactly, Elijah. Like, that's what we think. So when we put all of, see, let me channel my black girl. When we, see, I can't even do it. See, when we start doing all of this and popping our necks and doing all, I don't even do that in my home, to be honest with you. But when we do that, but you checking him, you don't even know what a man is. You want him to worship you? Okay, here we go. A man needs affirmation and encouragement, no matter how strong he may seem to be. He needs to know he's doing a good job. Now that's where I fall short. Can we get an amen? Yeah. Because I don't root myself on that way. Negative head trash has always been an issue for me. And yes, I do give my husband affirmations. Yes, I do say things positively about my husband, but I don't think I do it enough. Men need that, and they need it as much as possible. A man is in touch with his emotions and can express them. He's not afraid to cry or say he's hurt. What if he didn't learn to do that? Because most times we learn from our therapist, what do you learn as a man, as a boy, what you're supposed to do as a man? What you learn is suck it up. What you talking about? Like, really? Will a man cry? Stop crying? That's what you tell a little boy. And you want your man now to be like, yeah, I'm going to cry in front of you. I don't know how real that is. Okay, so let's come from the man's perspective. As a man, I find it interesting to hear the perspective of women as they identify the things they believe make up a man. So here they go. A man encourages. He knows what to say or do when necessary to build the self-esteem of his family and those he loves. I'm not mad about that, because that's not dying on a sword. Nydia, we're going to go back here. Nydia said, I don't want him to worship me because the moment I fall off the pedestal, it's pretty much over, I think. I know a situation like that, Nydia. Very true. Most people consider to be the ego stroking, but men desire encouragement to keep them going. And let me say this, Elijah, it's challenging for women who didn't get that growing up, or they didn't watch their mothers doing it, to do it for their man. For me, I had a lot of negative head trash and negative self-talk. I still have to work through on my own. So for me to even give myself words of affirmation is difficult. And so to muster that up for my husband is a challenge. I have to really dig in deep. Hold on, you guys. I need to make sure I get my power cord over here. I don't want this to die. And I had to pull this in a different direction for a reason. Let me grab this because I don't want it to die. But I like what this guy said about he encourages. Okay, so he instructs. He doesn't bark out orders, but educates. He takes time to slow down and communicate what he needs. Even in the first two, I think men have an idea about who they are more than women do. But women are the first ones to tell you you're not a man. Oh, Jesus. Let's see where Ashley goes. My dad never worked, but he definitely led us by example, taught us, and was always there to pick us up after we fell. But he never stopped us from failing. He believes we have to stumble and fall in order to learn. See, that's what daddies do. They teach you calculated risks. They teach you how to be cautious, but also move forward. Even moms nurture, so they keep you from what they think is perceived danger. And so she's talking about her father, and that's developmental. So Ashley's father gave her the things that she needed in order to be developed for the next phase of her life. A man serves. He practices putting others first. He is constantly looking to see how he can add value to those he's connected to. I like the adds value to those who he's connected to. And although a man learns to become this, a true man nurtures. A real man will express how much he cares by his actions and not simply by his words. Come on, somebody. Like that's some stuff. And I'm going to say it again. I know people were cringing when they saw the topic. Like, where's she going? This is from a male's perspective and a female's perspective. You got the two here married together, giving us a real view of where we need to be and where some of us are. Reading some of those comments about where women or what women believed a man was is difficult. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, that's challenging. That right there, I wasn't ready. How many of you are ready to hear that pretty much all women expect men to be disposable or die on a sword or sacrificial? They got to sacrifice their lives in order to be considered a man. That was tough to read. Because I believe they're protectors. I believe men are nurturers. I believe men are trainers and they guide and they direct. I also believe in the disciplinary side of manhood. Not just for their children, but how they instruct their wives. There's a place even in the Bible where it talks about the husband encouraging his wife too. Because stay focused, Tori. There's a message in the Bible where it talks about a husband is washing his wife with the word. He's sanctifying her with the word. And as he's doing that, that's encouragement to her. So I will say this. That's why I paused. I wanted to finish my thought and go on to this. I want to say this to men. If you want your ego stroked, it's very important that you do the same for your wife, because there will come a point where she's on empty and she won't have anything to give to you. And then you're sitting around mad that she's not stroking your ego, sitting around mad that she's not providing what it is that you need. But the question now becomes, did you provide what she needed? So I'm going back to Mama's Boy, because that's the topic tonight. We've got about 21 more minutes on this, and I want to really get into the 4 types of Mama's Boys that are listed in this book. And I don't normally put a book up here. Y'all know that. We'll show you a book and kind of give you direction, but I don't normally go through a book. This series, I'm going to go through a book. I'm going to go through some songs. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of stuff. So just be ready. And prayerfully, I will be able to get Glenn and Cherie on as a special edition. Ashley said, reciprocity of love, affection, and affirmation. Yeah, it comes together. And you have to do both. You can't just do one, right? So a mama's boy, the 4 types of mama's boys, we've got Mr. People Pleaser. We've got Mr. Time Bomb. We've got Mr. Narcissist. And we've got Mr. Sensitive. Those are the 4 types. Let me type these in here for you. I want to make sure they stay in here. 4 types of mama's boys. Got Mr. People Pleaser. What do you guys think Mr. People Pleaser does? Mr. Narcissist. Mr. Time Bomb. And Mr. Sensitive. Those are the 4 types. Look, Elijah said, sheesh. Now he's tagging his friends. Those are the 4 types. What do you think? Like, throw out what you think. Just give me a definition of what you think a Mr. People Pleaser or Mr. Narcissist or Mr. Time Bomb or Mr. Sensitive is. Why do they sound like negative titles? Because being a mama's boy isn't a positive thing. Look, she said, why do they all sound like negative titles? Because they're not supposed to be positive. Living with a mama's boy is not good. Living with a masculine female is not, it's neither one are in their totality good things. The book does get into how to overcome these things. She literally, part of the title is A Guide to Understanding and Dealing with a Mama's Boy in Your Life Without Losing Your Mind. The goal, like, we don't have to divorce or break up with a mama's boy. We don't have to divorce and break up with a female who is masculine. We have to navigate it. We have to communicate through it. We have to learn who they are and understand how they move. That's what we got to do. Okay? So they are negative though, Ashley. So y'all not telling me, what do you think a people pleaser is? A Mr. People pleaser, or Mr. Narcissist, or Mr. Time Bomb, or Mr. Sensitive? What do you think those are? Just give me something. Give me something. Because I've jotted down with some of the things they said, but I also come up with some of my own after reading these chapters. Give me a little something. Oh, y'all quiet again. Y'all like, I don't even know. Okay, I get when y'all go quiet on me. She said, my mother-in-law is straight from Germany. She's very dominant by American standards, but not really by German standards. Uh-oh. That's trouble. Mr. Narcissist, she said, is all about himself. He said, a people pleaser is someone who desires for unity and not division. Okay. Ashley said, Mr. Time Bomb is likely to have an explosive temper. Woo. I like that, y'all. See, I love engagement. I got to have some engagement here. So, Mr. People Pleaser, he will be your number one cheerleader, but he also needs to have you be a cheerleader for him. And that, I think, becomes part where we miss it. We have to be that cheerleader for the people pleaser. And you have to check in on him. He's the kind, he will always sacrifice himself for you, and he will always put himself in front of you, that eventually he may morph into Mr. Time Bomb. Oh, David said narcissist abandons his kids. Oh, Lord. Well, we're not talking about a narcissist in that way, but I get where you're going. Sarah said, I'm listening. I'm just getting ready for work. I appreciate it, Sarah. But I think Mr. People Pleaser has the ability to morph into Mr. Time Bomb. And I don't remember the book saying that, if he is constantly cheerleading you on and you're not cheerleading him on. If he is constantly worried about you and you never check in on him, he will always be, he's codependent. He wants to see you win. But I need us to recognize that if we see this in our spouse, if we see this in our boyfriend, we also have to keep that same energy for them. Because if you do not, he's going to morph into Mr. Time Bomb. I'm going to tell you that right now. I want to go to Mr. Narcissist first, because that's the one that keeps coming up. So Mr. Narcissist, whoo, Jesus. Many of us know what that term means, so a lot of people are putting it out there. Let me see. Oh, yeah, Ashley, Mr. Sensitive likely portrayed extremely emotional. Yeah. I'm a female version of the people pleaser. That's what Nydia said. Okay. And yes, I have become the time bomb. Yeah. But he wants you to see him too. Heartbreaking. Mr. People Pleaser needs you to see. They all need you to see them. And it's all about seeing them. Mr. Time Bomb, no, I want to go to Mr. Narcissist. I'm sorry. Narcissist is a great leader. We've talked about this a little bit before. The narcissists are great leaders. Most of our current leaders, and I'm not talking about the president, so don't even try to come for me on that. I'm talking about major CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, those kind of things who are successful, narcissists. Because what we do is we reward them for being narcissistic. Narcissists are all about they're self-centered, and they have an entitlement mentality. They have a straight entitlement mentality. I love the fact that they have the leadership quality, though. And if it is molded correctly, which it wasn't in his household with his mama, if it's molded correctly, he can be a phenomenal leader. But when it's not, he's entitled, he's self-centered, and he's spoiled. And before I go any further, I think that some people can have all four of these characteristics in some way, shape, or form. In reading the book, I was like, I get it. She said, I love it. Dr. Troy said, don't come for me. That's been my line today, Nydia. because people have been coming for me, girlfriend. If you saw my post on my personal page, and I did put it on Instagram. So watch that video, because it's at the end, that's how I drop the mic and leave it. I believe that mama's boys have the ability to be all of these. Maybe not in their totality, but they have a few of these traits here and there, or depending on the situation. The narcissist. He's the guy that everyone expected to care for them and die on the sword. And because he's not, now you're mad about it. Like, he's like, nah. So he went from dying on the sword and being that man to now it's all about me. You want to put all my feelings and all my stuff above you? No, now it's all about me. And that's, see, some of these are they morph and they move. These traits and these types, I believe, are fluid. So now let's go here. Let's go to the Mr. Time Bomb, because even Nydia says she can be the female version of Mr. People Pleasing and Mr. Time Bomb. Because I'm running out of time. And I'm glad I'm running out of time, because that means I timed this just right. I want to read this out of the book, but also off my paper. Mr. Time Bomb is passive aggressive. He always answers a question with a question. You ask him to do something, and because you asked him, he ain't gonna do it when you say do it. He gonna hold out and not do it when you ask. He's literally emotionally disconnected. And even while physically being here in the space, in your life, in the relationship, he's no longer emotionally connected to the relationship. They even say in the book that sometimes he may just be in the relationship to keep up appearances. One of the ways he works to get out of the relationship, Mr. Time Bomb, is he cheats. So when we look at our relationships and we're always like, oh, this man, he cheated on me, he did this. Was he cheating on you to get out of the relationship, but then realize he made a mistake? Because let's be honest, these types, these situations, these are not, they're not good traits to have. And they're manifested out of brokenness. They're manifested out of dysfunction. So someone cheats on you. They realize they made a mistake. How do you deal with that? How do you navigate that? Or a man cheats on you in order to get out of the relationship, because that's what he wanted to do anyway. The other part about this particular person, the time bomb, they're verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive. It is really the most toxic environment that you can have out of all of them, which I was shocked, because I thought that Mr. Narcissist would be. I really did, because that's what, in my shared parenting world, that's all we talk about. Elijah said, I see how people pleasers turn into time bombs. Yeah, we do. Because eventually, once you keep suppressing all your feelings and all your stuff, the lid's gonna come off, right? I can tell you without question, that Mr. Time Bomb is the worst of them all. If you are being physically abused by someone, verbally abused, emotionally abused by someone, they are literally the ticking time bomb. And ladies, how you diffuse a time bomb is not agitating it. And I'm not telling you to be quiet in your home. How you have to do that is learn how to communicate with it. Because some of us are married to Mr. People Pleaser, Mr. Time Bomb, Mr. Narcissist, and Mr. Sensitivity. And so we've got to learn how to navigate that. Or do you get a divorce just because they're a mama's boy and they have those traits? That ain't what you said when you said for better or for worse. That's not what you said. And many of us hit eject because we're not comfortable with these traits. Elijah said what exactly? See, this is where it is, Elijah. More grace towards better personal reconciliation. That's why I named this, what is it, relationship reconciliation or something like that. Because this is all going to be about reconciliation when we circle around. These types don't give you a right to jump out of a marriage. May give you a right to get out of a relationship when you see red flags, but you're in a marriage. And so now I want you to try to navigate how do you deal with this? How do you learn how to communicate effectively with this person? So let's deal with Mr. Sensitivity first before we even go where I was about to go. Mr. Sensitivity, he's a great listener. He has a heart of gold. He even gets women, more than likely because he was raised by a whole bunch of women. Just because a man's raised by a bunch of women doesn't mean that that's a negative thing. It may allow him to be a lover of women, as the book says, or a woman lover. You'll have to get the book to figure that part out, but you can kind of figure it out just by what I said. He is afraid to share how he feels because, no, let me back this up. You're afraid to share with him how you feel because you don't think he can handle it. That's part of this. I also can look at this guy and see how he turns into the time bomb. I can see how all of them turn into the time bomb, to be honest with you. I can. I think the time bomb is the one that you morph into after being ignored. So yeah, Ashley goes, I see the time bomb as the most toxic, but maybe that's because I've been with one, but there was no communication able to diffuse it. That was the most abusive relationship I've ever had in my life. Wouldn't wish that on anyone. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. When we're talking about these relationships and we're talking about being married to one, being married to Mr. People Pleaser, Mr. Time Bomb, Mr. Narcissist, or Mr. Sensitivity, we can do what Ashley talked about. She's been married to one. She's not anymore. Sarah said she's been married to one. Or we can do our best to help them through the process of breaking the cycle. And I'm not talking about me as his wife if my husband is any of these, because I can tell you my husband has had all of these traits, keeping it transparent as I always do. He has all of these, and it just depends on the moment what that is. But we have the ability to break this cycle. I even look at the story in the account of Jesus in the Bible, and it's something that I was meditating on this week. And even Jesus had the ability and the opportunity to be a mama's boy. And I don't want us to miss the understanding, although we defined it in the beginning. I don't want us to miss the understanding of what a mama's boy really is, even in talking about these behaviors and how they got here. They got here because of being a mama's boy. They got here because of the dysfunction. That's why we can sit here and say and go, oh my God, those all sound negative. They are, because they were birthed out of dysfunction. They were birthed out of manipulation and control. They were birthed out of this place of mothers over nurturing and controlling their children. And I'm not saying, like I said in the beginning, I'm not saying because you were raised in a single mother home that you are a mama's boy and you're doomed to be one. But I'm going to tell you, majority of the men who are mama's boys come from single parent homes. It is a fact that we can't get around. I want us to look at how do we break the cycle of being a mama's boy or raising mama's boys? How do we get to this place? And it's really a personal, as Elijah was saying, it's grace and a work towards better personal reconciliation. It's a grace, not only in our situation. This one says, if you have a mother and you recognize any of these qualities if you are a mother and you recognize any of these qualities in your son, don't despair. One of the main things that I want to bring up concerning single moms and mama's boys is how you literally get the kind of mama's boy that a woman doesn't want anything to do with, is you place all of your emotions concerning manhood, husbandhood, and fatherhood upon them, making them not only insecure about those things, but resentful about those things. It's a place where they don't even want to be any of those things because the number one woman in their life is now telling them those things are bad. For me, that is the epitome of a mama's boy. That he doesn't want to grow up. He doesn't want to be a man. He doesn't want to be a husband. And he doesn't want to be a father. Not that way. Because his mother and how she represented it and how she put it and how she phrased it in his life made him not want to be that at all. Made him want to run from that. So as I get into breaking the cycle, breaking this cycle requires an awareness, not only for mothers, but for the men who grew up without their fathers. It requires an awareness that your father's absence has created damages within your developmental stages. It's also an awareness towards the fact that you may love your mother, you may be a mama's boy to her, but you also have resentment and anger in your heart towards her. And so that resentment and anger that you can't throw at her, you then wield it at every woman that you come into contact with. Those are mama's boys. It's not just a dependency on a mother. It's how you relate to women, how you emotionally relate to life and society. Elijah says, I think we normalize blaming society for emotional suppression more than pushing through to be different versions of ourselves for better. You're so right, Elijah. This is about your own personal development. This is about your own personal self-awareness. Nydia said, what if society has already normalized emotional suppression more than pushing to evolve into better versions of ourselves? Society and culture plays a big role in our upbringing, especially when you are a latchkey kid. Absolutely. And you're being raised in a single parent home and your mother works and she may have 2 jobs and you have other siblings and you then become the parent. Society has not only normalized emotional suppression, it's normalized single parent households. I've never had a greater fight on social media than when I place a post that says kids need both their parents. It is constantly going to be a fight. Go look at the timeline. I think I posted one of those on Sunday, Saturday or Sunday. They go crazy, and I didn't do it on purpose to create mayhem. I forgot until I posted it. But society has a way of playing a huge role in all of this, even on how we define manhood, especially for women, as you can tell. Ashley says, where is the label for the man who was a mama's boy because he lacked the relationship with his mother that he needed? When a mother is present, when the mother is the parent who comes and goes in and out their life as she pleases. So now there are mama's boys because they yearn for that recognition, attention, acceptance, and affirmation from their mother that they have been chasing after for their entire life. Let me say this. I believe that is in what is called, Tokyo about to roll on all of my cords. That I believe is more of what we call, what do we call it? Deprivation. I posted it earlier. It is attraction deprivation. It's a part of how they move in their relationships. But I think, I don't know. Let me say this. I don't know. Let me say that. But I can contribute it to one of the memes I posted earlier today. I specifically was talking about women, but let's go here. It says, fatherless daughters speak their father's name, see their father's faces, and desperately try to recapture their father's love with every man they meet. It's actually a quote from a book called Daddy's Little Girls, Whatever Happened to Daddy's Little Girls by Jonette Rose Barris. But actually, I believe you can take that and interchange it with what you're saying. I believe your husband is experiencing, or individuals who grew up motherless. You can literally say motherless sons seek or speak their mother's names, see their mother's faces, and desperately try to recapture their mother's love with every woman they meet. Whatever parent abandoned us, whatever parent caused us the most harm, we are going to look for relationships to replace that. We're going to look for relationships that allow us to try to reenact it. And I've talked about this many times on our lives. It is literally like trying to go back and change the ending of a movie, but all you do is repeat the same cycle. So that particular man that you're talking about, Ashley, he will then attract a woman to himself if he's still broken and dysfunctional, who will do the same thing to him and his children that he did or that his mother did to him. Yeah, Nitty. And Nitty said it's the same with women. Absolutely. We all do it from that deficit place. We all do it from that broken place. The true factor in breaking the cycle is healing it. And I said it a moment ago. It's about being aware that growing up without your father caused damages and consequences to your development and your upbringing as a man. And ladies, we have to have grace. And when you're raising these boys, you have to make sure that you put them in positions where they are able to voice their opinion, where they're able to express their emotions and they don't have to take on yours. I'll post that. I'm going to show that on the screen in a moment. How we heal this, ladies and gentlemen, is grace and communication, awareness, understanding, love, passion, and not just trying to pick out someone's flaws and put them on Front Street. That's not the mission and that's not the goal. It's not the mission, nor is it the goal. So I'm going to end with that. I hope this helped you. I'm excited about this series. See, I want to put this on the screen with Nitty. And Nitty said, my therapist has said that to me so many times and I see it, but I'm hard-headed. We're going to break that spirit of stubbornness and rebellion. No, I'm just kidding. I think we all are to some degree. Patterns and habits are hard to break. And that's part of cognitive behavior. But that's the stuff you learn when you come and you get my coaching on the other side. David even says, single mothers always say a father isn't needed. David, I'm telling you, it is the social construct that is puzzling me these days. Because as I said, if I post on social media, all children need both parents, women will immediately start qualifying what man is needed, what type of father is necessary. The one you created the child with, okay? Like, get out of here with that. Elijah said, of course, I agree. I've also just seen people use it as a crutch. I get it, but you can't call it a crutch though, Elijah, if it's really the thing maiming them, if it's really the thing that's causing them to limp. And that becomes the challenge for people. Oh, you can't, your childhood is your childhood and you can't use that as a crutch, right? You can't, but you can. If it's really the thing that's got you stuck. We try to make people push past their complications and their dysfunctions and just water them down and just move on with life and act like that's to suppress them and like it's not a thing. But it is. And I think we should be more supportive in saying, if your childhood has maimed you, let's deal with it. Versus, oh, that's your childhood. Childhood, you an adult now. You got to move on. You got to move on. I believe our childhood destroys us and traumatizes us, and God has made it that our entire adult lives, we are working through all that harmed us and traumatized us in our childhood. So to try to push people past that, that's dysfunctional. That is what we call, for me, I call it cultural dysfunctional behavior. Ashley, I'm going to post a few more of these. I think we can end up being mama's boys or daddy's girls when we have had a healthy relationship with a parent who did set us up the way they did. And that's the positive side of it. You had a great influence, and that great influence blessed you in that way. Sorry, not to put that one back up. They blessed you in a way where you get to say mama's boy and daddy's girl from a positive angle. 9 times out of 10, because they didn't have one either, they figure they are good, so their children will be good too. Child, that's that lie. They know they ain't fine. They know they're not good. We know when we're not good. We just have a hard time admitting it. I've heard that so many times. I didn't have a dad. I'm good. But are you really? See, yeah, my thing, I don't even have to add the really, but are you? See, that's my line, Nydia. But are you? I see and can understand that. But how can we unlearn and reprogram? Well, that goes into cognitive behavior. That goes into coaching, Elijah. That goes into therapy. I am a strong proponent of coaching and therapy in tandem. I am a coach. I'm a cognitive behavioral practitioner. I do that work with individuals because you've got to change your mind and recognize how it's wired, right? And I have to then coach you through these negative patterns and negative behaviors, but also help you acknowledge your pain. That is what I do. If you want to learn more about it, get a free assessment. Go to beyondfatherless.com. You can get more information on that page. I don't push it as much as some people think I should. It is what I've been doing more and wanting to do more during this season of COVID. There is a fee associated with it, but I slashed the prices in half literally during COVID because one of the things that was asked of me during an interview that I had yesterday with London, a friend of mine, a pastor friend of mine in London, England, is what have I been doing? How have I been managing this time with COVID? And what was pressed upon my heart to say is, I've been allowing God to heal the broken places I was too busy to acknowledge and face. And that's why I sliced the prices in half, because this is a season where we have a lot more downtime. Many people are working from home until the end of the year now. And so you have a lot more downtime because you're not stuck in traffic going to work, getting to work, right? So I now know that we're thinking about a lot of things. I know now that we are having a lot of things flood our minds. Even the challenges, keeping it real, that are in my household right now. These were the things Vark and I have put off for 5 years. Our anniversary is on Saturday. I don't know what that's going to be. And that's hurtful, but it's honest. But we've put them off. And we've put them off. And now that we've been in the house together, you can't put them off no more. Can't keep having the same argument for 5 years and there's no resolution. This thing required many of us, not just me and my household. I'm transparent with you guys. So I'm telling you what's going on in my household. And I think that's why you see a lot more people filing for divorce after this COVID stuff. Not declaring that for my household. I'm praying that that's not where we're going. But I recognize that it could be. Because the pain of situations and the pain of journeys, and when you face them, and facing them requires confrontation. And that's one thing some of these mama's boys don't like. And masculine women don't like confrontation either. They like to confront, but they don't like to be confronted. So we're not throwing it all on the men, even in that moment. Ashley says, I hate to hear people say, your child has been over for years. It's time to just get over it and move on. Yeah, I hate it too, Ashley. Elijah says, how can we find what's healthy or not suppress? Do we want to? It requires you to want to. From a minister perspective, they say only the desperate get delivered. So in many ways, only the desperate are those who can recognize some of their challenges and faults, go get coaching and go get therapy. How do you know you need help? Or how do you go get help when you don't know you need it? That's the challenge, Elijah. But you got to put in the work, Nydia said. Yeah. And the problem with so many relationships, when we're even looking at mama's boys and how that works, you got to put in the work to deal with this. You got to put in the work to overcome this, right? But it's not on the other person all the time. Like I should, and my husband should be able to show and talk about each other's blind spots. The gentleman I interviewed this Sunday said something powerful. He said, you can't correct without relationship, right? That was good. And so putting in the work requires you to work on yourself while allowing your spouse, the one you love, to point out the areas you need work, your blind spots. The question of whether or not you want to is a very personal question. I feel like everyone is different. Some see no problem and don't want to change it, and others don't. Yeah, others don't want to change it. Yeah, I get it. Thank you, Elijah. Nydia said, I love your transparency. I will be praying for you all. He said, yikes. And then Nydia said, I guess I'm a masculine woman. Nydia, we've been in this for a little while now, girlfriend. And yes, you are a masculine female. You always have to be careful of that. Sarah said, I have had to work on it. I'm still working on it. Yeah, we're all working on this stuff. We're all working on it. If you desire, let me throw this up first. Click that link and get this book. Look how thin that book is. It is a few hours on the beach. Get that book. That book is easy. That book's going to help you through some things. The other thing is, I am a coach. I do this. I help you through this. I can help myself through it. You can't do it in your household, y'all. That's the hardest part about being Dr. Tori J, is Dr. Tori J can't show up in her home. She just can't. That's the hard part, when you know how to fix a situation, but you can't do it for your own household. Tough place to be in. My beyondfatherless.com coaching, go there, look at it, sign up for a free assessment. It's easy to do. It's free. And then we'll talk about how I can potentially help you. Trish said I'm late. Trish, you got to go back in the replay. And I will also send you to, Nydia, what was the one where we talked about the masculine female? Because there were several where we brought this up. The effeminate male and the masculine female. I know it was in the fatherlessness and gender confusion and gender identity issues. So Trish, you'll have to find it in there. And they're all those videos are still up. And then I've put them all on YouTube, and now they post to YouTube while we're on here. We getting, if Instagram would only allow us to do all of that at the same time. Next week, I'll start posting to Periscope at the same time as well. It's all about the budget, y'all. It's all about the budget. But Trish, go there. She want to say it was the gender confusion. Yeah. So Trish, if you go to the gender confusion series, because every month I do a series. I don't bounce around. I keep it all locked into one. Go to the fatherlessness, gender confusion, and gender identity. We talk about the different components, I should say. And that's where you'll find it. Yeah, it was February, March. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm grateful that you guys have toughed this out, this very tough, triggering conversation out with me. I love you dearly, and I'm grateful to be able to even share with you some of the insight I have, and even get to share with you my life. My life isn't perfect. Normally, you would hear my husband in the background chiming in. Normally, he would be on here even when he's out. I don't know if he's on here, but I think the topic, when he heard it, he thought it might be about him. I ain't that girl. So thank you, Dr. Tori, for all you do for so many of us. You're truly a blessing. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. So you guys go be great, work through this stuff this week, and I'm going to come back next week, and we're going to come up with whatever title for the equivalent of the female version of what a mama's boy is. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.